Cases of sexual abuse are notoriously difficult to investigate and prosecute. What's more, silence and intimidation often keep cases of molestation away from authorities, particularly in insular communities. Here in New York City, a new raft of cases against members of the ultra-Orthodox community have shed new light on the difficulties of prosecuting the offenders and protecting the victims. Nehemiah Weberman, a counselor, rabbi, and member of the Satmar ultra-Orthodox community, was found guilty last December of sexually abusing an underage girl over a 3-year period. Longtime District Attorney Charles Hines oversaw the prosecution.
It sent a very strong message that the veil of secrecy, or the barrier to secular authorities learning about sexual abuse, has pretty much been removed.
The case opened concerns the community was attempting to protect its own. Weberman's supporters raised money for his defense, and 4 men were charged with attempting to bribe the victim's boyfriend, now husband, to make the case disappear. Insularity has posed a vexing issue for authorities. In 2008, flyers popped up around Brooklyn criticizing a rabbi who had publicized sex abuse cases, calling him a corrupt and infamous traitor. And 32 ultra-Orthodox rabbis signed an order condemning him. Hines says attempting to keep matters of sexual abuse internal is wrong-headed.
They have no business sifting through allegations of sexual misconduct. They don't have the experience or the expertise. And worse than that is that there may be a tendency to say, well, you know, that particular person, I've known him for 10 years. Impossible.
Chaim Levin was sexually abused by a relative as a child. After being outed as gay, he turned to so-called reparative therapy, which promised to rid him of same-sex attraction.
You know, I was 18. I had 3 married siblings already, a couple of nieces and nephews. I didn't want to be any different than they were. You know, that's something, in a closed community like that, you know, anything different stands out. And at that point in time, I didn't want to be that different person.
He turned to Jonah, Jews offering new alternatives to healing, where he says he again faced humiliation. After more than a year of attending sessions, he alleges a counselor persuaded him to undress and touch his genitals.
And I walked out of that room, and I swore to myself, I said, I'm never going to tell anyone about that because I just don't want to think about it. I want to remember it. It was so degrading. It was so humiliating. I literally blocked it out of my mind.
It took a year and a half for him to come forward, and now he and others are bringing a lawsuit against the Jonah organization. The executive director of that group didn't return JN1's request for an interview. Meanwhile, there seems to be new efforts to stem the scourge of sexual abuse. Jewish leaders in Chaim Levin's neighborhood of Crown Heights issued a statement saying Jews are, quote, forbidden to remain silent in such situations.
If I can get the other Hasidic communities to replicate that, the problem will no longer be called scandal. It'll be instances of sexual abuse that are reported to authorities and are prosecuted in the ordinary course.
Still, some community members were outraged when sexual abuser Nehemiah Weberman was given a sentence of 103 years in prison, although that term was later reduced. District Attorney Hines is up for re-election later this year and says he's not going to back down from investigating and prosecuting these cases. And he hopes that outreach efforts like a confidential hotline and dedicated caseworkers will help bring more perpetrators to justice. This is Stephen Fee for JN1 in New York.